And so we reach the top of the hexagram. This is the top of gate 47, and the line 6 is called futility. This is a line that can upset people, of course. Futility is a word that has a little bit of word prejudice around it. And it's, you know, we live in a go-getter kind of gung-ho society, so futility might not sound so great. Sixth lines have their own nature. Oh, they get involved in their third line experience. We know this. You know, they have their third line experience of trial and error and bonds made and broken. They go through that when they're young, and then they remove themselves from that process and they become witnesses to the nature of their own hexagram. We've seen, as we've been making this journey around the wheel, that the sixth line is an important sounding board for the rest of the hexagram, to see whether or not what is going on in their process is legitimate or not. And here we have the sixth line in one of its natural positions to be able to look at the oppression process and to see what its true value is. It's futile. We have an introduction line, lifetime learning. It says a difficult position for which there is no exaltation. So we go from an unusual fifth line yesterday where there was no detriment to this line here where there is no exaltation. So the detriment reads, the strength of will alone may find a way to adapt and survive, but without hope of ever overcoming the oppression. Life as an ordeal, stripped of realization. From the mental plane and perspective, for those operating from there, life can be truly futile. Now, why bother to make sense out of it? What's the truth anyway? There can be depression in any sixth line, but certainly here. What it really wants is the truth. It doesn't want something that just makes sense because it knows that that ultimately doesn't work. It's futile. Something that makes sense today, well, it can make a different kind of sense tomorrow, or it might not make any sense at all. And the sixth line knows that because it knows that the whole thing is just a wave. What it's really looking for is something beyond. It's looking for the truth. But what is truth? What is it to be human? Actually, the truth comes when we move into the next gate. And we're moving into gate 6 in the first line, which tells us don't waste your resources on relationships that are not of value to you. That's the truth that this sixth line is looking for. Do not be open to things that are not of value to you. Remember, the sixth line really wants to know that it's going to get involved in something that will have value for it. Otherwise, why bother? Why bother? The 47-6 knows that there's no use complaining. They realize that complaints are futile. They're very sensitive when other people around them constantly complain. They don't like that, and therefore it's important for them not to waste their resources on the wrong relationships. This line can suffer a lot when it's young, as all six lines can, of course. But because here there's the opportunity to turn their inner sense of themselves and their life and to look and see, they want to manifest it, they want to make sense of it, and then they realize that actually that's just not possible. That's what they discover. The third line is in harmony to the sixth line, and it's called self-oppression. Their learning curve, this sixth line learning curve, goes from self-repression up through. And they transcend the self-oppression by giving up on it and by watching to see whether anybody else can make sense of anything. It's actually a powerful gift. This is a collective, of course. It's something for the sixth line here to understand, you know, the social imperatives of having collective circuitry. You are fulfilled through the other, and the other is fulfilled through you. And the futility is also rooted in recognizing that it's hard to find those others who can make sense of things. It's hard to find those others who can then turn that sense of things into an idea that can be manifested. When you get to this point of futility, to the point where you stand at the top of the line and you say, nope, this does not make sense. When you recognize how many things don't make sense, what do you do with that? Where do you go? You get emotional and you move directly into the gate of the emotional wave, and you go to the sixth gate of conflict, and that's where we're heading next. But we have a grounding still in this 47, and in the line 6 it's called maturity. Is there a grounding in the maturity to accept futility, to accepting that sometimes life doesn't make sense, or that there is truly no one who can make sense out of the confusion, and that it's okay? So the moon has been in gate 60 since 2:39 this morning. The gate of limitation and acceptance is in the root center. Individual circuitry, it's the format gate in the channel of mutation, working on a pulse energy that's on and off and on and off, working in its own timing to bring about change. It then moves into gate 41 at 12:18. This is the gate of decrease, the gate of contraction, the limitation of resources which maximizes potential, or the development of potential. This root center gate brings the drive to fantasize about having new experiences. The pressure of desire may manifest as a sexual fantasy or as daydreaming, and the impulse can come to experience life and to interact with others through feelings. It's a collective gate. You might have guessed that through the interaction with others. Gate 19 is next, another root gate. This is at 21:49. It's called approach, and it's the gate of wanting. And this pressure here from the root is about need, and it's expressed through that need. It's a tribal gate. Need is the root of the tribe, you could say. Right? This can express as being very needy or needing to be needed. And also it has the need to access basic resources through successful interactions with others, ensuring that material and emotional needs for food and shelter and protection and territory are met. This is support, and a huge keynote for the tribe is support. And then we have gate 13 at 7:13 tomorrow morning. This is the Fellowship of Man, the gate of the listener. This is a G center gate. It's a gate of memory, the memory which starts the reflective process. This is the collective again. This is the same stream as our sun in 47. This is the collection and the remembrance. And these may be things that are of personal value, but they can also be of value to the community. What is remembered is designed to be shared. And this is also the gate of hearing secrets. So some discernment and trust is needed when sharing what you hear. So this is us at the top of this hexagram, another gate. And we move into gate 6 tomorrow. So I will see you there. Conflict and friction. Until then, thank you for joining me through this journey through gate 47. And I will see you soon. Go gently.